Hey everybody, it's been a while, and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about where I've been this last, 8 years, and tell you a bit more of how I went from this to this, because it's actually been really life-changing, and when I reflect back on that time, I realize that back in 2015, I generally hated myself. I'd had my daughter back in 2014, and they like to tell you the baby weight will come off, just keep doing what you're doing, keep breastfeeding, and things will go back to normal. But unfortunately, that isn't what happened. I waited until about 2015 to realize that this permanent 6-month pregnant look wasn't going away. And that really was a hard pill for me to swallow, because I hadn't really dealt with that before, which meant that now I needed to go on a fat loss journey, which was brand new to me. That I'd been in sports in high school, but I wasn't a very sporty or active person generally. I didn't do it for fun. And so it was a very new thing to try. It's a big contrast to now. I was always tired every day. I hated looking in the mirror. Food was confusing and frustrating. I hated the scale. I just, every time I went to get dressed every day, it was an internal battle, because I hated my clothes, because I felt like I never had anything to wear, because I didn't like how I looked and felt in them. And it was just like mental torture starting off every day that way. It impacted my work. It impacted the way I was with my family. It impacted who I spent time with and what I did when I spent time with people. I wore baggy clothes to hide everything. I wore those pregnancy jeans for like 3 years because I just didn't know what else to do. So I set out to lose 60 pounds of fat. And I became obsessed at this point. It started off slow. I would start going to group classes. I would start just doing a little bit of cardio, going to the gym here and there. And when that didn't work, things got a little more extreme. Over time, I added weightlifting into there. I did more group classes. After a year or two of that not working, I started incorporating dieting. And this is where things got kind of crazy. As we know, with the dieting world, it's all over the place in terms of whether or not fats are making you fat, carbs are making you fat, whether or not you need to go gluten-free or dairy-free, or whether you need to eat meat at all. And I just, at some point, I had tried generally all of those things all at once, while adding on a lot of 3 hours of cardio a week, as well as a lot of extreme weightlifting. My joints hurt. I was tired, because a lot of the time I was sustaining multiple jobs at the same time while doing this, and I had a toddler at home on top of that. And unfortunately, those from 2015 to 2019, there's barely any change at all that you could see from all of the work that I did. And I was convinced I was broken. Okay. So then we started going to doctors. We started hiring coaches. We started doing MLMs. I tried everything under the sun. We tried supplements. I didn't know what else that I could do without just generally straight up not eating. But if you know me pretty well, you know I'm incapable of that. And so the kicker to this whole thing is that I would see little bits of results here and there, but I was miserable while I was doing it. And that meant that anytime I did something that I would feel good doing would put me back to where I started. And it was really frustrating, because now that we have the internet, you can see all these people online just constantly, they eat food that they like. They don't die in the gym all the time. They're not they're going out and enjoying life. And I just decided I deserve that. We all deserve that. Why is it that the only way that I would see results is just by not enjoying life? Because that's not what, the whole reason I set out to do this was so that I could enjoy life again. So what was the point of doing it if I was just miserable? So I just felt stuck between a rock and a hard place. Being miserable staying where I was, but being miserable trying really hard to get where I was going. But I couldn't stick to it long enough to actually get where I wanted to go. 60 pounds is a lot. So interestingly enough, at this same time, around 2016, I was doing energy work out of my own home. I was a Reiki master, and therefore I wanted to work on energy and help other people not feel miserable at the same time. Like, I wanted other people to not feel the same pain that I did. And ironically enough, I was enduring that pain at the same time, but this was just, I thought that I could help other people in order to help also make myself feel better, which it does help. But this was a major turning point for me, because I had knowledge of attachments and energy and all of the stuff that goes into what helps you feel better as a person energetically and not just physically. And so I found that the two things actually tied together in fitness and fat loss. They actually tie in very closely, even down to the science. Okay, there's a balance that has to be made when it comes to your attachments with food and the things that you enjoy in life, balanced with some of the things that you have to do in order to get what you want. And so that was the turning point for me. From 2019 to 2020, I actually ended up hitting that goal. Like, I went from no results at the start of 2019 to having hit my 60-pound goal off by the end of 2020. And I actually managed to keep it off for a while too. It was just like, it was a huge revelation. I knew that I felt bad back then, but I didn't really realize how bad I generally felt until I got to a better place. If I would have known that I would have had to go through 4 years or more of struggling to get where I would have gone, I don't know if I ever would. I might have given up on it. Okay, but I do want you to know that it is possible. Okay, you can do it. You just might not have the context that you need quite yet in order to get there. And it's a huge thing, because with the age of information that we have now with the internet, we also have the age of misinformation, and it's confusing. Okay, does that sound familiar? You can share your frustrations down in the comments below, but feel free to share if any of this sounds familiar to you. If you know somebody that's also going through these things, I understand you. I see you. You are not broken. Okay, there is hope for you. Don't give up hope. Okay, so I hope that this was inspiring for you, because now I have also, since having lost that 60 pounds, I've also done more, found an amazing coach that understands me, and we're not on all this crazy cycling of restrictive and extreme stuff. And so together we've now made even more progress, built more muscle, lost another 20 pounds, and we have lots more plans for this year. But it is possible for you. You just got to find that context. If you made it through to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate you for your time. I know I haven't really posted on a lot of these things in a while, but it's because I just had been focusing on bettering myself. Let's say that. Hashtag blessed. It takes so much talking about I'm healed. So, all right, stay tuned for more. Maybe we'll see what's up.